Right, this is a quick walk around video. This is for a Honda CR-V 2.2 EX diesel. This is a 12 plate car with just over 40,000 miles now. As you can see here, finished in silver with this absolutely glorious looking dynamic aero kit. 19-inch alloys and the roof bars. It's got a really lovely look about this car. But I'll go around for you, pick up on any marks that are immediately obvious to me. Front of the car, lights, lenses, all completely intact, no condensation or cracks in any of those. Front bumper, very clean. As you can see here, it's got this big hefty looking bumper on the front of these dynamic aero pack cars. Really does give it visual presence. Bonnet of the car, very clean indeed. I can't see any obvious stone chips on there that immediately sort of jump out at me. It's all very clean. There's just a couple of little specks from sort of dead flies and things which I've managed to get here in the last 5 seconds or so. Near side of the vehicle, absolutely mirror smooth on the panel work there. Really clean. Front wing, very nice. Again, sorry, I do apologise. I managed to sort of smudge a few bits on there on the way down, but it is very clean. Front near side alloy. Near side alloy is the one that normally takes the battering, unfortunately. It's pretty much corrosion free, which is rare on these actually. But as you can see there around the rim, there are a few curb marks there. They don't particularly detract, and they're better than far many of sort of this type and age, but they are there on the car. Panel work again, really clean down the flanks there. Rear alloy wheel is pretty much unmarked, can't see anything obvious on there. In fact, there's a couple of tiny little specks just on the outside edge, but generally very clean and tidy. And just to come around there, just see how clean and smooth it is. Just on the corner of the bumper here, don't know whether you can see, a couple of marks just been touched in by the last owner. And coming back, you can see one of my favourite angles for these cars. High level rear spoiler, and this rear bumper treatment really does make this car stand out. But generally around the back of the car, all in very nice order. And then off side of the vehicle, as the sun comes out, it's not always helpful on these videos unfortunately, but again, can't see any indentations down the side of the vehicle at all. Really clean. Offside rear alloy, very clean, can't see any obvious marks in there at all. And then the rest of the panel work is really clean and tidy. It's a very clean and straight car, this one. And then final alloy wheel, apologise because my shadow's getting in the way, but that alloy again really nice. So just the one alloy with a couple of little marks. Externally, looking at the car in really lovely condition, but a really genuinely handsome looking vehicle as well. So coming to the boot area, as you can see here, it's got its full complement of equipment still here and intact, which isn't always the case. Obviously tonneau cover just folds back there, and you can just pop those off, but they do go forward and back with the headrests. Middle parcel or middle shelf, I'm not sure what you'd call it, parcel shelf or otherwise really, but all again very nice condition. I would say massive boots. Worth pointing out that this shelf, which I see no great use for, I've got to be honest with you, is shaped exactly the same as the recess here. So if you don't want to use it and you don't want to sort of chuck it in your garage and forget about it, you can put it at the bottom there as an extra cover, which is what I always do. So offside rear door card, all very clean and tidy. Back of the front seats, again really nice. They're not being kicked or battered about, which is, you know, can unfortunately be the case with a lot of these. You know, the kids decide to sort of throw a little tantrum in the back. Mine aren't unique in that, I don't think. And then door card on the near side there, again really clean. Absolutely tons and tons of leg room in these, and these seats can be pushed backwards or forwards depending on how much boot space you want. But the leatherwork, as you can see, is in fabulous order. Driver's door card, as with the others, very good condition, hardly any obvious signs of wear on there at all. Sill area is all very nice. Obviously you've got electric adjustment for the driver's seat there. As you can see, bolsters in fabulous condition, as is the rest of the seat there. You know, obviously it's a low mileage one, so you'd expect it to be good, and it really does not disappoint in any way. Likewise, front passenger seat looks pretty much factory fresh. It's absolutely beautiful condition. Just to quickly look up here, obviously EX spec, so big spec car. So you get this blind which you can pull across on the panoramic roof. Just press a button there, it closes over, and then backwards to have it open if you so wish. So sat inside the car now, engine's running as it has been all the way through, but it really, I mean, it has to be seen really, it's in fantastic condition. On these later ones, you get this little cubby hole here, but you can see there you've got this little USB lead, so if you touch your phone lead into it, you can play your music out through the speakers of the car, but obviously also charge your car up at the same time. But plastics are in really lovely condition. So I'll just close the blind there so it doesn't reflect quite so badly. Fully functional sat nav system, as you can see. Pop it into reverse, and you've got a lovely crystal clear rear parking camera there, and parking sensors front and rear, so there's absolutely no excuse to biff into anything. Dual zone climate control, all working exactly as it should, all switches in absolutely beautiful condition. Obviously automatic gearbox lever, and then down the centre here, again all in really lovely condition. And we've got obviously heated seats there, all working exactly as they should. Just to quickly show you, but they do work perfectly, not that you need them on a lovely warm summer's day like we're having today. And then just to come across to the main dashboard itself, just to pan in there for you, you can see now 40,553 miles. I've been a bit naughty, been using the car, I must admit, and it's been very handy indeed. Auto lights, auto wipers, and then obviously you can see obviously on the dashboard absolutely no warning lights on the vehicle either. Main steering wheel of the car, multifunction steering wheel, so we've got audio top left, cruise control top right, information display functions on the bottom right, and on the bottom left there we've got hands-free functions for compatible phones. But really is in fantastic condition, this particular car. So finally come under the engine bay. The engines always sound a lot noisier on the videos than they do when you actually physically stood here. Beautifully presented, as Honda engine bays nearly always are. Fabulous engines, really strong, powerful, very durable and reliable. This one's just been serviced by ourselves, and the whole car's just about to go through MOT as well, so that'll form part of the sale of the vehicle. What will follow now will be a road test of this very car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V. This is the 2.2 DTEC diesel engined EX automatic. This particular car is registered ND12NVA, and mileage at the start of this road test is now 40,545 miles. I've actually done a few hundred miles on this car since it arrived, because it's been very handy indeed. The reason for the videos is very simple indeed. The internet's really good. It's made finding the right car, right specification, etc. Cars like this, you know, where it's got, you know, loads of extras on it, but people are willing to travel a lot further to go and see these cars, and you know, but clearly then that's fraught with the potential of having your time wasted, an awful lot of time and travel and expense, if there's a fundamental problem with the car which you should have been told about prior to coming. It's something that we've been on the receiving end of, and it's one of the main reasons we actually do the videos. Is, you know, we want to let people know up front if there's anything wrong with the car, and if there is, we'll tell you about it. The road tests are also done on exactly the same road test routes as any prospective buyer will go on, and in that sense we obviously would hope would be then representative of what you should feel yourself when you come and see and drive the car. So starting with the car, I tend to do it in kind of the same order as you do it yourself. The engine of the vehicle, it's been very well maintained, this car. It'll be going through pre-delivery inspection today on the vehicle. It'll have an engine service. but the engine is a fantastic example. It's a lovely engine anyway. They've got loads of grunt to them. There's no warning lights on the dashboard of this vehicle relating to the engine or any other part of the car. But the engine's sweet, pulls well, very refined, very quiet, and very, very well matched to the auto gearbox as well. And that's not always a given. Some manufacturers that chase very high horsepowers from their engine, even with diesels, do tend to sacrifice a bit of drivability, low down torque, mid-range torque, because you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have everything from these engines. So, but this one's got loads and loads of torque, and that means that when you're using the gearbox, it's not struggling for sorry, the wife driving the other way. It's not struggling with the gearbox. It's not off turbo, these kinds of things, and that's really frustrating with automatics, where they're constantly up and down, trying to change up and down. But this one doesn't do it. There's loads of guts to it. Engine then drives through into this Honda gearbox, automatic, very, very smooth shifting gearbox. I can't detect any wear in it at all. There's not that I'd expect to. They don't really have any issues. It's a hugely over-engineered gearbox. I think, if memory serves me right, they actually use the gearbox from the Honda Legend in this one, and obviously that's a 300 horsepower car with loads of torque, because they knew that the torque demands of the engine were such that the auto gearbox needed to be tough, and they are. I've had these on part exchange come into me with well over 200,000 miles, original engines and gearboxes, and still driving beautifully. So, but I still do the obvious tests on them, notwithstanding, which is, when it is warm, pop it into neutral, select drive or reverse, and just see if there's any delays or clonks or thuds when it goes in. If there is, then you just walk away from the car. Sorry, it's got one of these, if you hear a chime there, it's got one of these little warning things when you hit 50 miles an hour, it gives you a ping. They drive me insane, and I've forgotten to turn it off, but there we are. So in terms of the powertrain of the vehicle, absolutely spot on. It's a low mileage one, you'd expect it to be good, and it's exactly as it should be. Steering the vehicle, there's absolutely no vibrations coming back through the steering wheel of the car at all. It feels tight, it feels taut, it feels exactly as it should, and I'd hope. Again, no discernible wear in it at all, and I'm looking for kind of things like where you got just a little bit delay, a little bit of looseness, a little feel to it. Track's dead straight, by the way, but it's it really is really tight and taut, much as it was when it was new. That's annoying warning chime. Got to turn it off. The suspension of the vehicle, these are very comfortable cars, very, very smooth riding, but they also do handle very well for the size of the car they are. It doesn't allow a huge amount of body roll, keeps things well in check, doesn't flounder through the corners like so many of its competitors do. It's a very, very, very nicely set up car. But again, what I'm looking for on test drive, and what I'm looking to do on these videos, is just pick up on any possible signs of wear underneath the vehicle. And what I'm looking for really is kind of just signs of, again, a bit of looseness in the chassis, where when you go over a bump, it doesn't just thud, but you might get a bit of mechanical noise. But this has got absolutely nothing at all. It's absolutely spot on. There's nothing coming up through, and it tends to be little things like drop links and anti-roll bar links, suspension struts, that kind of stuff, but there's nothing on this one. Just checking the cruise control, that's all working absolutely perfectly on the car. Just coming to a left-hand corner now, just going to give it a sharp jab on the brakes. I know they're good, but yeah, it's a nice solid brake pedal, all in really, really nice order. Just let you know that as part of the PDI, which is going to take place, we will be fitting the car with new front and rear brake pads. They probably would pass an MOT, because the car's going to go for an MOT as well, but they may just go on to an advisory, and I know my local MOT test station's very hard on cars, which is good for you, obviously, but so as a precaution more than anything else, so new brake pads will be fitted front and rear to the vehicle, but they are actually in very good order anyway, but that's by the by. But the car does drive very solidly on the road. It's a lovely car to drive. Looking around inside the vehicle, it's not been cleaned or valeted yet, but it's in fantastic order. It really, really is. You know, all the plastics look pretty much factory fresh. They're beautifully kept. There's not even a hint of a squeak or rattle anywhere from the interior of the car. You know, as you'd expect from a Honda. I mean, they are sensationally well-made cars. You know, I do bleat on about it, but I genuinely feel that, you know, build quality isn't when the manufacturers, you know, the motoring magazines jump in brand new cars and they all feel lovely and well screwed together. It's not then. It's, you know, 7, 8 years down the line, or whatever happens to be, or 5, 6 years down the line, you know, 40 to 100,000 miles. How are they then? You know, all the plastic's still on the buttons. There's buzzers and creaks coming into the car which weren't there when obviously it was new. And this is where Honda are so good. You know, and yeah, it frustrates me really that, you know, the motoring press just should take used ones, just average used cars every now and again, and then test them and see what they're like. Because, you know, we know what they're like. We know what the issues are with some manufacturers. That's, as I say, that's by the by. In terms of kind of everything in the car, all working absolutely perfectly. As you can see there, sat-nav system working exactly as it should. Obviously that pops into the rear camera, as you know from the walk-around video. Air conditioning works absolutely perfectly. It is not as warm today, but yesterday was the hottest day since 1976. And it blew out lovely cold air, even at 34 degrees outside. Heated seats work perfectly, dual zone climate control. Later versions, so they get this new painted areas under here, far less sort of scratch resistant than the earlier versions. But it's the actuation of the controls. It's every little button you press has a beautifully damped and engineered feel to them, and it's a real depth of engineering. So not just your major primary controls, your secondary controls and switches you rarely use, they're still of the same quality throughout. They don't skimp, and some manufacturers do, shockingly enough, but they do. Instrument gauge, all in perfect order, all the pixelations exactly as it should be rather. Temperature gauge running at 1/3, which is, if you know from my other videos, is exactly where I want it to be on a Honda car, and it's what it is on this one here. And the steering wheel, yeah, it just feels like new in my hand. It feels, it's all in really lovely condition. You know, the video doesn't really do it justice. You know, it's something that you sort of need to come and sort of see and appreciate, I guess. You know, doesn't mean there isn't any wear in the car. It doesn't mean there's any little marks somewhere in the vehicle. It just means that, you know, they're very few and far between. Obviously, these Hondas run what's called intelligent four-wheel drive, or real-time all-wheel drive, as Honda used to call it. Brilliant system. Honda worked out very quickly as, you know, one of the pioneers of this type of car. That most people, 99% of people, would never use the four-wheel drive. They just drive like this, up and down the roads. But once in a blue moon, if you did a bit of towing, or you know, the school fate was a bit muddy or something like that, go across the field or snowy conditions, basically it runs in front-wheel drive the whole time. The most efficient way to run a car. Only when four-wheel drive is needed does it automatically bring it in, and then it automatically disengages it when it no longer requires it. It's as simple as that. And they're bulletproof. We've never, ever, ever had an issue. I don't want to tempt fate, but we've never had an issue with them. The advantage of not running permanent four-wheel drive, of course, is dead simple. Far less mechanical losses on the car and wear and tear. They get to tyres far less frequently than permanent four-wheel drive systems. And obviously fuel losses, you know, as a result of it, you know, are improved as well. So it is kind of gain with the thing. So, but anyway, that concludes the video. I can't find anything on the car to report back. It doesn't mean I wouldn't, or I always do. But it's a lovely example of a fantastic car.